this point under federal law. What I actually make the case for in the People versus Barack Obama is I make the case that the RICO Act, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act of 1970, which allows for civil charges to be brought, people can file civil suits, that be broadened to allow people to sue members of the executive branch. So the people themselves, essentially, would become the guardians of the criminal law because, sorry, but I just don't trust any executive branch to prosecute its own guys.
Are you bringing this right to the president himself?
If we could, sure.
All right, people, so this clip from about 10 years ago is going crazy. It's blowing up because now the left and the left-wing commentators, the political commentators, are calling out Ben Shapiro for being a hypocrite and a liar. Because in this clip, as you just heard, he is advocating for using the RICO statute against the president of the United States at the time, which was Barack Obama. Essentially saying the whole administration was a criminal enterprise and people were doing criminal acts on behalf of the president. Now, if that's all you heard, right, you would believe that that's true. You believe that he's being a hypocrite, right? And what I mean by being a hypocrite, he's saying, hey, it's okay to get Obama under RICO, but now Trump, it's not okay to get Trump under RICO. So let me show you what the left-wing commentators are saying. But again, I don't click off this video so fast because what the left-wing commentators are saying are straight up lies. And they are spinning the story to make Ben Shapiro look like a hypocrite, but actually he's not. And I'm going to prove that to you right now. So first, let's go to TYT, because this is how TYT is spinning this clip.
Well, I mean, it's right-wing hypocrisy. It's the most normal thing in the world. It's if he didn't say one thing when it applied to Obama and another when it applied to Trump, I would be shocked. And so Shapiro happened to have made the RICO statute argument, but is he any different than any of the other right-wingers who do nonstop hypocrisy about everything? I mean, yesterday we covered the story of them saying, we demand that Weiss be announced as special counsel. And then they announced Weiss as special counsel. They're like, we demand that Weiss not be special counsel. That's what all right-wingers do. In this case, Shapiro's argument in regards to a sitting president makes no sense, not because he's a sitting president. Sitting president also can't commit crimes, right? But because he didn't really allege any crimes by Obama. Well, he alleged my feelings got hurt and I didn't like what he did and I disagree with him. So why don't we imprison him or what civil or what? It's civil RICO, I'm not sure it makes sense. I don't even know what he's talking about. Anyway, but now when you've got all these indictments of actual criminal activity by Donald Trump, he's like, oh, RICO, no, you should never use that against the president.
All right, so after watching that clip, that's essentially what TYT is pushing, right? And you see it at the bottom, right? Oops, Ben Shapiro's hypocrisy exposed and resurfaced clip. When it comes to RICO, okay for Obama, not okay for Trump. That's Ben Shapiro's argument, and then they'll go into more of that. But I just want to make it very clear what the argument here is. The argument is Ben Shapiro's a hypocrite because he says RICO should be used for Obama, but when it comes to Trump, he's saying RICO should not be used for Trump. Remember that argument, because that's going to be important later. Now, this is another left-wing commentator from Secular Talk, Kulinski. Now, he has over 1 million subscribers, and he is going to make essentially the identical argument based off the clip that you just heard. Ben Shapiro's a hypocrite. When it comes to Trump, no RICO. When it comes to Obama, RICO. And you can see from the title, Ben Shapiro's rank hypocrisy exposed, the Kyle Kulinski show. Let me play this clip.
Sorry, but I just don't trust any executive branch to prosecute its own guys.
He said we should use RICO laws to criminally charge the executive branch, AKA Obama. RICO laws. That is exactly the statute that's being used to go after Trump in Georgia. He wrote a whole book as to how it is based to go after presidents criminally using RICO laws, and now he's clutching his pearls. Oh, you're going after Trump with RICO laws. No. Think of the precedent. Think of the precedent. Holy cow, man. Oh. Listen, I hope there are some conservatives watching this. If you're conservative, you can stop. Like, you can get out of this. You can grow. You can learn. You know, I mean, this stone cold caught, son. Stone cold caught. I mean, this is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Nobody should take this guy seriously. He is clearly a partisan hack. That's what he is. Totally flips his argument. simply based on who you're going after.
As you heard the host of TYT say, Ben Shapiro's a hypocrite because when he was okay with RICO going after Obama, but not okay with RICO going after Trump. And as you just heard Kyle Kulinski say, Ben Shapiro is a hypocrite. This is so embarrassing because he was okay with the government going after Barack Obama for RICO violations, but not okay with them going after Trump. They both are trying to convince you of that. But I'm going to tell you, both of those arguments are wholly dishonest because what they've done is not play you the entire clip and are taking it out of context. Now, what I'm going to do is play the entire clip where Ben Shapiro is asked specifically whether this would apply to both Democrat and Republican presidents. Then I'm going to play what Ben Shapiro recently said about his view on how RICO should apply to Trump. And you'll see it is totally different than what they're trying to spin. See, what they've done, they found an old clip, took just a small little part of it, and is trying to make it seem like all conservatives and Ben Shapiro are being dishonest and being hypocrites. But the real hypocrites here and the real dishonesty is coming from these left-wing sources. So, first clip we're going to watch is Ben Shapiro's interview 10 years ago, the one that they're responding to, in full context, so you can hear exactly what his argument is.
He's 2 years into his second term. You're not going to impeach him. Are you proposing criminal charges against the administration or specific who?
Well, I mean, there are certain specific players within the administration, Lois Lerner at the IRS, the Attorney General, for one, who would be subject to criminal charges. The problem is, of course, that the Department of Justice is the only body that is capable of bringing criminal charges at this point under federal law. What I actually make the case for in the People versus Barack Obama is I make the case that the RICO Act, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act of 1970, which allows for civil charges to be brought, people can file civil suits, that be broadened to allow people to sue members of the executive branch. So the people themselves, essentially, would become the guardians of the criminal law because, sorry, but I just don't trust any executive branch to prosecute its own guys.
Are you bringing this right to the president himself?
If we could, sure. I mean, the question of sovereign immunity.
What did he do hands-on that's criminal?
Well, see, this is the problem. This is why you have to use the RICO Act. So no president is ever going to have to do things, unless you're Richard Nixon, presumably, and there are tapes, is going to have to do things that are particularly hands-on. The government is run much more like a mafia-esque organization in which you have somebody at the top who makes a basic demand that certain things be done, and then somebody at the low level says, okay, well, I want to up my career, why don't I do this, right? This is Henry II with Thomas Becket, right? Will no one rid me of this meddlesome priest? And then somebody goes and rids him of the meddlesome priest. It is odd that all of the scandals, all of the criminal activity in the Obama administration has all redounded to the benefit of President Obama.
Couldn't we make this case against any president? Iran-Contra against Reagan, weapons of mass destruction against Bush. Every administration has had people under them who have lied or done things. We could indict Washington.
Well, I'm not sure we could indict Washington, but I think that certainly...
I'm sure something was done.
Washington was relatively clean, but if you look at George W. Bush, or if you looked at Bill Clinton, or if you looked at Ronald Reagan, sure. I mean, the answer would be that you could, and people should be wary. I mean, this is sort of the case that I'm making, is that we've become so comfortable with the executive branch of the government abusing its citizens and violating our rights and violating what they're structured to do under the law, that we've just become used to it. And if we start treating them as criminals, maybe they'll think twice before they act so criminally in the future.
So that seems very different than what we've been hearing, right? At first, remember, they were saying that he was being a hypocrite. This is only against Barack Obama, only against left-wing presidents. But he clearly here saying that left-wing presidents, Ronald Reagan, even George Bush, who are extremely conservative, extremely right-wing, he's saying, yes, you should bring these charges against all of them, because if they're doing crimes, then these statutes should apply, and we should have some mechanism to stop that criminal activity. So it wasn't just, he never just coasted to say, I'm only going to do this for Barack Obama. He was saying we should be doing this for any particular president. Now, what about Trump? Is he saying that Trump should be let off the hook? Let's listen to what Ben Shapiro is saying about this particular interview and what he is saying should happen when it comes in regards to Trump. Because just so everybody understands, Ben Shapiro believes Trump is guilty of all these charges, right? You're going to hear him say he thinks Trump is guilty of all this crap. But as you're going to hear him say, it is not about whether Trump is guilty or not. It is about equal application of law. If you're going to do this to a Republican president, i.e. Trump, then you should be doing this to Democratic presidents. Or in going on in the future, Joe Biden should be up next, because Joe Biden's essentially, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden are involved in a lot of alleged criminal activity, and RICO would easily apply to Joe Biden just like it's applying to Donald Trump. So listen to it from Ben Shapiro's own mouth and tell me if you think Ben Shapiro's being a hypocrite, as these left-wing types are saying, or if you think that they're being dishonest in trying to portray him as a hypocrite. Here's the clip.
Two things can be true at once. Donald Trump pretty obviously violated classified document statutes. They have him basically dead to rights on those charges. I mean, he literally said on tape, folks, legal advice, never do the criming on tape. He literally said on a tape, here are classified documents. I could have unclassified them. I didn't declassify them. You should look at them, right? I mean, that is doing the crime on the tape. So, should he be prosecuted or not? Well, in any normal circumstance, the answer would be yes, sure, why not? Of course, if you commit a crime, you should be prosecuted for the crime. The problem is, once James Comey let Hillary Clinton off the hook for crimes, at that point, the answer becomes no. And the answer becomes no because if only one side has to play by the rules, then the rules are not rules. They are just a double standard. They are just a weapon. And the same thing is happening right here. So back in 2014, I actually advocated for a full-scale use of RICO to go after politicians. Because I said, listen, what I would like is actually widespread use of RICO to go after various criminal enterprises run by politicians. I wrote an entire book called The People versus Barack Obama, in which I suggested that Barack Obama had very likely engaged in, by Fannie Willis's definition, RICO. It's a lot like a violation. I mean, if you're going to talk about RICO violations, you can find RICO violations pretty much anywhere. And you know what? I'd be kind of okay with that if this were even remotely evenly applied. But it is not remotely evenly applied. It is only applied to Donald Trump. Only. So again, if you want to have a set of rules that applies to everybody evenly, I'm totally for it. But if the rules only apply to Donald Trump, we can all see what you're doing. Well, they're going to get their wish. The rules will be applied to everyone, but not evenly in fully partisan fashion.
Okay, so now that you've heard the full context and what Ben Shapiro has always been arguing, you see how dishonest our left-wing friends have become. They just took a part of the clip and just said, hey, Ben Shapiro is being a hypocrite. He's saying when it comes to RICO, don't charge Trump. Trump should just be free. But when it came to Obama, he's saying you should charge Obama. And that's absolutely not what he's saying. What, as you've heard, what his argument is that all politicians who commit RICO violations should be charged under the RICO Act. That was Barack Obama, because he was president then. He said Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, right? He's not saying only charge people on the left and then don't charge anybody on the right. He's saying that his issue with it, and what it's always been, is that the law is not being applied equally, and specifically to Trump, right? He's saying, hey, we're charging Trump, but Biden has just as good as an argument of being charged under RICO. And I think that's accurate. And then he's also made the argument that now, when Biden eventually gets out of office, they're going to be coming after him too, because they've now that door has been opened. But to say that he's being a hypocrite by actually having a consistent message, RICO should be charged for these criminal organizations when politicians are doing it. Trump, Biden, Obama, Reagan, whoever. But as you can see, the left-wing commentators have taken small little snippets of it and have made him out to be a hypocrite when he absolutely is not. Now, it's to the point where I have to give TYT some credit, because Anna Kasparian did come and tell Cenk that, hey, he's not essentially being a hypocrite, but he's also saying that others should be charged. So listen to how she actually tries to tell the audience that, hey, he's not being a hypocrite. He actually said this should be for everybody. But eventually they just kind of just walk away from that and continue to say that he's a hypocrite, because, again, that's what's going to get the clicks and views, not to have this real discussion about what his real position is. Check this out.
And I looked into this.
Oh, you mean what every single president has ever done?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
We should have indicted Ronald Reagan, please.
By the way, Larry King, to his credit, asked that question, and Shapiro, to his credit, said, yeah.
Oh, no, not to his credit, because he's a liar.
Probably,
if Ronald Reagan was around now, he'd be halfway up his ass.
But
there's no way he would have said that about Reagan.
You're probably right, but at least in the context and in regard to optics, he responded to that question the right way.
So even the fact that they have the tape and that Ben Shapiro literally said this would apply to all sides, to all presidents, right? And even now, he's still saying, yes, I believe RICO is the right thing to do for everybody. Trump, Biden, Reagan, whoever, they just said they don't believe him and still call him a hypocrite. And this is what I mean by dishonest commentary. Because they know, as you see, they know that's not his position. But the reason why this video is titled, Oops, Ben Shapiro's hypocrisy is exposed. It's not exposing Ben Shapiro's hypocrisy, it's exposing theirs. Because they are ascribing to him a position that he doesn't even have. Let me know where I'm wrong in the comment section. Let me know where I'm wrong in the comment section, because I think this is wholly dishonest in a very underhanded way. Because if they say, hey, I believe he's a hypocrite, this, that's one thing. But they just totally dismiss the fact that the thing that they've made the video about him being a hypocrite, totally dismissed it. He actually made the point twice, that this applies to both sides equally. And matter of fact, he's out there saying Trump's a criminal. He's saying Trump should be, is dead to right caught. They don't care about that. They're so desperate to make the other side seem bad that they're not even listening to what the other side is saying. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments section. My name is Nathan Loy, and I'm out. Peace.